So today we have even more news and information regarding The Last of Us Part 2. It seems as though it's just not going to stop, which I'm perfectly okay with because not only do I want to know as much as I can about this game, not in terms of story, of course, not anything relating to spoilers, but just hearing everything that's going behind it. We know that Naughty Dog has been working on this game for years, and they've been putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and so it's really nice to hear everything that has been put into it and that is continuing to be put into it. And so what we're actually going to be talking about today is a few interesting things. One thing I noticed that some people were kind of surprised about, but I don't know why anybody would be surprised by it. And if anything, to me, it just really is actually very impressive, if I'm being honest. And that has to do with Naughty Dog targeting the base model PS4 when it comes to developing The Last of Us Part 2 and not actually targeting the Pro. Again, I don't know why this would be surprising for anybody, considering that this is how all game development goes. It wouldn't make any sense for Naughty Dog to work their way up and then go down. That would actually probably be disastrous for any development team to do that. But it says here that over the past 6 months or so, the base PlayStation 4 that released all the way back in late 2013 has been running into a number of issues when trying to run recently released games. Many studios seem to be using Sony's supercharged PS4 Pro as its target platform, but that is not the case with The Last of Us Part 2. Speaking with US Gamer, lead game designer Amelia Schatz said that the base PS4 is Naughty Dog's target platform. That's actually what I've got on my desk at work, and so that's what we sort of aim for. Schatz then goes on to state that the footage we saw earlier this week isn't the game's final frame rate nor its locked screen resolution. This surely is welcome news for those who haven't upgraded to the PS4 Pro yet. The likes of Control and Borderlands 3 are two games that have been considered almost unplayable on the base PS4 model, particularly in the case of Remedy's latest Mysterious Adventure. It doesn't look like The Last of Us Part 2 will be adding itself to that list. So this is, I think it is good news because we have to understand that the majority of people who are playing on PS4 are actually playing on the base model. I love the PS4 Pro. I think it's a great console, and I also love when I get to play games that really take advantage of the PS4 Pro, but even I don't think as a PS4 Pro owner that it's a good idea for developers to really be targeting the higher model and just kind of leaving people in the dust, right, with the older model and having issues playing a game. That just doesn't really seem very fair to me, you know what I mean? And so I think anybody who is planning to pick up this game for the base model PS4, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Honestly, I think, again, this is kind of something we already knew, but Naughty Dog is coming out here just reassuring everybody and letting them know that, listen, there are going to be PS4 Pro enhancements, obviously, and they're going to do their best to take advantage of the PlayStation 4 Pro hardware, but they're also not going to risk having any issues with the base model PS4, and I think that's just the smart way to go about it. Again, like most people, whether we want to accept it or not, for PS4 Pro owners, most people are going to be experiencing this game on the base model PS4. Now, of course, all of the footage we've seen of The Last of Us Part 2 so far has been on the PS4 Pro, and you have to understand that when it comes to marketing, it just makes sense for them to do that. It really wouldn't make sense for them to show it on the base model PS4, of course. And so the question is, what is the frame rate going to end up being? What is the resolution going to end up being? Honestly, I think it's safe to assume that it's going to be 30 FPS. I would be surprised if they could get it up to 60 FPS because we know that they're going to want this game to look as good as it can. I think it's going to look very similar in many ways to Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy more recently from Naughty Dog. And so to me, it's just pretty exciting. It's very impressive that they're able to really make a game, that's going to really push things the way The Last of Us Part 2 is, hearing about all the tech that they're using, which we're actually going to talk about in a moment here. But hearing, that they're using this new tech, they're really pushing things to the limit, and seeing that they're going to, really take advantage of the hardware, whether it's the base model PS4 or the PS4 Pro, it's just really good news to me, and I think it's something that is worth paying attention to. Again, I don't know why anybody would really be that surprised to find out that they're targeting the base model PS4. There's no way that they're going to risk having an issue like what we saw with, Borderlands 3 or even Control, where it's just like the base model version of the game is just not cutting it, you know what I mean? And that's just not cool, since a lot of people are going to be playing on the base model. But something else we do need to talk about here is apparently The Last of Us Part 2 is using motion matching for its animations, and this is what is essentially going to make the animations look so real and so believable, and how it seems that this is pretty much like next generation tech that they're starting to implement here, that we're probably going to see more of going into next gen with the PlayStation 5, and they're starting to utilize it here with The Last of Us Part 2. It says that with The Last of Us Part 2 developer Naughty Dog, they are debuting a new technology in the game's animations. Naughty Dog games are known for superb animation quality. Whether you're watching a cutscene or playing the game, The Last of Us Part 2 will continue this long-standing tradition, but not without improving on it in a key way. In the sequel, the studio is making use of a tech called motion matching. The idea is that instead of blending together separate key animations, The Last of Us Part 2 relies on hundreds of smaller ones that smartly keep up with player momentum. In all our previous games, there's been this really distinct state machine where we say, play a run animation, then play a turn left animation, then play a turn right animation. Co-director Anthony Newman explained to GameSpot, the way motion matching works is it takes this massive bucket of animations, just hundreds and hundreds of animations, and chops them into little tiny bits. When you define the path that a player or an enemy wants to take, rather than saying, play this and then play that and then play that, the system actually looks at the bucket of animations, finds the ones that matches the path that you're already taking, and blends them together frame by frame. This should create a more natural and responsive character movement without sacrificing the realistic look of the animations themselves, something games often struggle with. I think as you play the game, you must have noticed just how fluid the player feels with every foot plant, every turn. There's little blending as possible, Newman added. So, that's and he goes on to say here, because they have a lot to say about this tech. They're clearly very proud of it. It says, that's applied to our NPCs, that's applied to the horses, that's applied to the dogs. We even have these dogs and horses in mocap suits running around getting the data that we needed for this really intricate system. So this is like really, really awesome to hear about, in my opinion, because one of the things that has truly caught my eye ever since we saw like official gameplay back in 2018 of The Last of Us Part 2, and something that, it was so shocking that I believe there was another developer, I forget who, but back, during E3 2018, there was another developer that was basically calling out Naughty Dog, saying like, there's no way this is possible. And here we are now, with the release date at the, getting towards the end of 2019, and we are seeing that this is real tech that they're using. This is new tech. This is pretty much, it sounds like next generation tech that they are utilizing here to really, when we talk about this game, and this is something we have been talking about being on another level, I know there's a lot of people, or at least some people, who don't want to hear that. They think it's too hyperbolic. They think that people are, putting the game on too big of a pedestal. But really, it's like, this is stuff that I don't think we've really seen before. And when you watch the gameplay segments that we've seen so far, there's just something about it that looks different from any other game we've ever gotten. And so you can clearly see that not only is Naughty Dog very proud of this tech, as they should be, but they really clearly put a lot of time and effort into making sure that when you're playing this game, it's going to feel like the most fluid, most realistic game you've ever played. And that has me really excited, because when we think about some of the major improvements we're going to expect to see going into next generation, this is going to be one of them. And so seeing what Naughty Dog can do with PlayStation 4, the base model, and seeing what they're going to be able to do with the PS4 Pro has me thoroughly excited for what they're going to be able to do and what they're going to be able to accomplish with the PS5. You can clearly see that they are pushing PlayStation 4 to its absolute limit here and doing things with technology that really no other developer or studio is doing. And I think the way we're going to see it implemented into The Last of Us Part 2 is frankly just going to, I think, leave a lot of us with our jaws on the floor, just like this is insanity. Like this is the next gen, right? Like we are getting a glimpse into what next gen gaming is going to look like, and frankly, it seems to me that it starts with The Last of Us Part 2, and that is very exciting. So, as you can tell here, guys, like we're just getting all this different information, and I love making this content and breaking it up for you. You guys have been showing great support on this, and I plan to thoroughly continue to cover The Last of Us Part 2 on my channel here, because I don't know, man, like my excitement for this game is on another level. Obviously, I'm very excited for other games coming up like Death Stranding, and I'm looking forward to the future of PlayStation 4, but man, it seems like between now and the launch of The Last of Us Part 2, it's just going to be a train that doesn't stop, and I am along for that ride. So yeah, be sure to let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. What do you think about Naughty Dog ensuring that they're going to make sure the PlayStation 4 base model is taken care of and those players won't have to worry? I know for a fact that there are plenty of you listening to this who only play on the base model PS4. So let me know, how you feel about this. And, based off of what we've seen on the PS4 Pro so far, I don't think there's any worry whatsoever that the game's not going to look as good as it possibly can. We know it will. Who knows? Maybe there'll even be a 60 FPS option for the PS4 Pro. That will be interesting. And let me know what you think about this new tech when it comes to animations that Naughty Dog is using. Does it sound impressive to you? And are you seeing just how big of a difference it's making in the gameplay that we've seen so far? Of course, it's going to be a completely different experience once we actually get our hands on the controller and get a feel for the game ourselves. But yeah, leave your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it or found it informative. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.